Didn't hear it come in. It's Brian Zane, everybody. It's Friday. It's the end of July. Son of a bitch, we made it to the end of July. I didn't think it was possible. Well, here we are. It's the Smackdown review. I just wrapped up watching Smackdown for the evening, and we are here tonight to talk about it. It's been an up and down day here on the channel, folks. If you were here earlier in the day, you saw me struggle mightily with the WCW Feel the Bang mod. It broke the emulator on a few occasions, but I was able to pull through at the very end and actually get some content out of it, get some matches, and it was fun. So I didn't put the archived version out today because there was already enough stuff coming out today. There was the stream itself, there was this video, which we're currently residing in right now. And also I just re-released Slammed for a lot of technical reasons, which I explained in the pinned comment on that. So if you've not seen Slammed or you want to watch it again, go check it out. It's all explained there. But that is what brings us to this moment today. The archived live stream will come out either tomorrow or the next day, just so I can space things out a little bit. But we're here to talk about Smackdown. No more No Mercy mods. We're here to talk about the present, the here and now. Smackdown begins much like it did last week with a bunch of little promos, very Saturday Night Main Event-esque kind of promo style for everyone involved in the big key moments of the show tonight. And it wraps up with the Firefly Funhouse bit where Bray says he was looking for Braun in the swamp, but his part of his soul will be trapped there forever. And so he says that he, and by he means the Fiend, wants the Universal Championship, and until he gets it, nobody is safe. Grim foreshadowing ahead for what we saw there. I was surprised that we opened up the show this week with the Intercontinental Championship match. It was AJ Styles versus Gran Metalik. If you'll excuse me for a minute, I'm just trying to double checking something with my stream settings here, but we're good. And so yeah, it was AJ defending against old Granddad. I assume Gran Metalik is a dad, so I can call him old Granddad. So it was actually a really good match. I was really excited for this one just on paper because, you know, I know what Gran Metalik can do in the ring, and AJ works well with just about anybody. So, yeah, this is a great story in this match. Metalik getting worked over early, but he has a lot of tenacity, hits some big moves, which keeps him in the fight pretty regularly, pretty consistently here. And then ultimately, this great spot where Styles checks him in midair when he's coming off the second rope, like for another time, was great. In the end, he locks in the calf crusher, and Gran Metalik taps out. Old Granddad taps out, and AJ retains. Great opener. It was cool to see Metalik get this opportunity. He's probably not going to get another one like this for a while. I think it was just kind of one of those things where it's a kind of a random throw a bone to somebody you don't see very often, kind of getting that shot. I think that's kind of cool they do that every once in a while. It just kind of reminds you these people are there, and, you know, it can give them a chance to impress, you know, when they might not normally get a chance to. So I think Metalik did a really good job with this chance he got here. After the match, Styles beating up Lince Dorado, hitting the Styles Clash, and then afterward, we get the beginning of what's probably the weakest part, or the part that I disagree with the most with this week's show. We see Shorty G, Chad Gable, call him what you want. He's sitting there in the back and he's watching the match and everything unfold. King Corbin approaches him and he's trying to be all buddy-buddy with him and say, hey, you know, like, this should be your opportunity and whatnot. And Corbin's like, hey, didn't we just have a really bitter personal feud when you kept making fun of my height? And Corbin's like, nah, man, we've always been friends. And Gable, I felt, should have been a lot more suspicious about that, in my opinion. Corbin reminds him the King's ransom is still open to anybody who can attack Matt Riddle, and Chad's thinking about it, and we'll see where that journey takes us here. Then we see, after the commercial break, Jeff Hardy is high on life, that is. He's back to talk about how he confronted his demons at the bar fight last week, and they're literally saying he beat Sheamus and his demons. Like, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. You can't beat alcoholism and demons in a wrestling match. As much as we'd like to believe it's that simple, it's just not the case. But Jeff says that after beating Sheamus last week, he thinks he's on the right path and that he never wants to let fans down again. Speaking of fans being let down, in comes King Corbin with an interruption, and he is tired of touching redemption stories for Jeff Hardy. Tells him to shut up and deal with it. Like, what a fucked up way Vince McMahon feels about people with addiction and weakness. It's something I'm going to talk about in more detail in an upcoming video, because there is a discernible pattern with how this goes down. When wrestlers have addiction problems, they have personal demons, they're on display, often in the most embarrassing ways possible. And I think this is just more like Drew or Corbin telling Jeff Hardy, "Oh, shut up, get over it. It's old news." Like, yeah, I don't want this in storylines either, Corbin, but you can be a little less blunt about it. And he goes, "You could have the King's ransom, but you'd rather be in an AA meeting, sitting in a circle talking about your feelings and collecting coins." Is that all he thinks that AA is about? There's more to it than that. What a loser for trying to get better. Drew Gulak, anyway, jumps Corbin because he's got a scheduled match with him, and so the match happens after the break as King Corbin versus Drew Goo. Graves, on commentary in the middle, declares himself to be Corbin's Minister of Propaganda. I love that he's kind of incorporating that stuff with with King Corbin there. As the match goes on, Matt Riddle shows up for a distraction, and we do get the surprise roll-up, but I was jumping out of my seat. Oh, holy shit, he's going to lose to it again. I can't believe it. No, he kicks out and just like flattens it with End of Days. No surprise roll-up for you. It's not going to happen this time. But I love that that's what they went with to try and reestablish the trope that's like Corbin's biggest blind spot. So anyway, after the match is over, Riddle gets in the ring, starts to beat up Corbin. In comes Shorty G, who takes out Riddle. And now it seems he just wants the money. He's all about the King's ransom. And that's why he's decided to join up with his former arch-rival, King Corbin. I'm getting it all. I mean, I'm glad to see Shorty G get some airtime. But how does Corbin keep getting lumped up with all these underlings? Like, that has been his God ever since he went to Raw for the first time. That's been all he's done, is just like he's always had like henchmen to try. I don't know if they elevate him or he elevates them, but it ends up being like a zero-sum gain every time. And I just don't know. They keep pounding that home, and they think it's going to be a different result. And now we're going to see how it looks with Chad Gable. I want Shorty G, Chad Gable, I want him to also buy in to the King Corbin aesthetic. I want him to dress like a knight or like a serf or maybe even a jester. That would be hilarious. I want to see like people like really just go all in with the kingly gimmick and stuff. That would be tremendous. But yeah, it's like, it just seems like a real lack of moral fiber from Gable, where it's like now he's like, well, I do like money. Seems like a really weird flex. What do you guys think about Chad Gable's unfortunate heel turn? I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. I guess it's better than just not being on television. That's my thought on it. We go to Big E versus The Miz. They're making a big deal of this. This is Big E's first match since officially embarking on a solo run after Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston have officially given him their blessing to go solo for a while. And so going against The Miz, and Morrison's there in the corner as well. Some good back and forth in this one. It's a very familiar pattern. Like, I could just go into it right away and just notice, like, oh, like this is how, how they're going to build this and everything. And I think they pulled it off very well, though. Apparently, the It Kicks have now been renamed the Hey, 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 Ho, Ho Kicks, according to Morrison. Is that a new thing? Is that brand new as of this week, or did I somehow just not notice it before? Morrison gets a cheap shot, Miz his skull-crushing finale, and Big E is able to kick out, which is impressive. Morrison tries to cheat again, but he's ejected. Big E with a schoolboy into a stretch muffler, which I thought was a very cool little sequence there, makes Miz tap out, wins the match. So it's kind of different to make him win by submission as opposed to like the big ending or something else like that, some power move. Great match, does a good job putting Big E over and showing that, of course, he can hold his own in singles competition. I feel they kind of like had this collective forgetment, this memory wiping of the singles run he had before the New Day, where he was Intercontinental Champion. I know, and I probably am wrong about this, because I'm hoping, I might have missed it, but maybe they just mentioned it in passing, because like when they were making the intros, they talk about, oh yeah, like The Miz is a great singles guy too, and so I would hope they would mention the fact that Big E actually did a singles push before, before now. But yeah, good match, and I hope for nothing but more fortune ahead for the Big E man. Then we go from a Big E man to a Big Pale man. Sheamus is backstage, and he's wearing the same outfit that he had for the bar fight. He has, the tank top, suspenders, the hat and everything. He says he should have known better than to fight Jeff Hardy on his home turf. He's basically kind of like excusing his victory away, that saying that by giving Jeff the home turf advantage, that's why he lost the bar fight. But he says, now Jeff Hardy's not his problem anymore. I like how easily he can just dismiss this feud that he himself instigated. It's like, whatever. Like, he should, I think, be more mad about that. I think he took that a little too well. But then he goes on about, now he's the locker room's problem, takes his hat, puts it in the camera lens. Is that just his new look now? Is he just going to embrace kind of the Celtic kind of like Bargoon, is that what we're going with here? Thought that was an interesting little promo. And then, hang on, I gotta scroll through my notes, excuse me. We get a little bit, like, this is like a really short, kind of, almost like a throwaway thing, where backstage, Cesaro and Sheamus, and I missed this, this comes before the Sheamus promo. We see Cesaro and Shinsuke, that's how almost forgettable it was, I just totally bypassed that in the notes. We see the new SmackDown Tag Champs, Cesaro and Shinsuke still celebrating their Tag Team Championship victory. They're still partying it up with the champagne. I guess they've just been going nonstop since last Sunday, more than a week earlier. Cesaro even brings up at the top of the segment, like, hey, you know, Extreme Rules has been really good for you, Shinsuke. You've won a championship every time you've worked it. Like, yeah, it's true. A lot of people brought that up this last weekend. Lucha House Party should show up. Just, I guess they want to hang out with the champs. And they're like, no, champions only. Get out of here. Let's make fun of you for being Mexican. It was, that was interesting. Kind of, again, really short, kind of blink and you miss it thing, because I think it all wraps up maybe in 30 seconds. And I guess they're setting things up for, you know, an inevitable program with them or a tag team match with these two teams. So there you go. But yeah, Cesaro and Shinsuke, they know how to party. We then go see Lacey Evans and Naomi continuing their feud, which of course began in earnest during the karaoke competition several weeks ago. And the less we say about that, the better. Lacey cuts a little promo top of the match saying, you know, oh, Naomi gets beat up and now there's a hashtag about her and she's going to, you know, make her even more relevant. You know, the match itself is okay. The match ends, Lacey wants to do the same thing that she did to beat Naomi last time, kind of like tying her braids up in the rope. That doesn't really hold. She goes for the women's right, pronoun trouble. And then Naomi counters it, and she does a backslide with a split. So it's like backslide with a little bit of flair attached, and she ends up winning the match up there. And, we've got... I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I thought it was a decent match. Naomi winning here, fine. Let's do some more with her, I would say. Backstage, we see Mandy Rose and Otis, who I don't believe was carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm pretty sure it was never actually mentioned he is the Money in the Bank winner. There are not too many opportunities for that, but like they were promoting that, you know, we're going to see more of like the love story between Mandy and Otis. And so here we are. They're walking through the halls, and Mandy's like, I just reserved all this catering to come to the back room, all this food you can eat, because you like food, Otis. And then, like, they split up, and you see Sonya Deville, like, lurking in the shadows. Like, horror movie. I'd say it was scarier than the spooky thing we get later in the night. But it just kind of floats into the shot. We cut, it's like a hard cut commercial, and then we come back, and Mandy's getting her face done and everything. Sonya, again, kind of shows it behind the mirror, and just, like, beats the shit out of Mandy, and, like, rubs lipstick all over her face. You know, she's, I'm gonna make you as ugly on the outside as you are on the inside. She cuts her hair. She cuts some locks, the golden locks of Mandy Rose, and then she goes to grab like the shears, and ultimately the referees and Adam Pearce show up, and they shoo her away and everything. But yeah, that was an intense scene, and we had gone several weeks, it feels like, without talking about that storyline, Sonya and Mandy. It feels like they just really kind of like just dropped it several weeks ago, and all of a sudden, boom, it just comes back in like the strongest way possible. They do not, they pick up right where they left off, it seems. It was a good beat down, I would say, and it just really emphasizing Sonya being crazy. This is what, like, again, this is one small sample, and who knows where it's going to end up, but I was, I got vibes of like, you get the feeling this is kind of where they wanted Mickie James to go, or they wanted Victoria to go, especially Victoria, I feel. I think that jives more with Sonya right now, that I'd say, than Mickie James. But it's still kind of like that, the psycho, jilted, like, ex-lover, even though, like, Sonya's not, like, it's not explicitly said there's a love interest here, but, like, they're dropping as many hints they possibly can. So, yeah, I was really impressed they brought it back, like, full force, Jeff Farmer style. And we're off to the races with more of that action there. Then after that, we see like an update from Kayla Braxton as she's getting checked on, and Miz and Morrison show up, cracking wise as they often do, and they're making a lot of haircut jokes and puns. Finally, Otis and Tucker, remember him? He's still there, but Heavy Machinery is there, and they kind of like shoo Miz and Morrison away. I wonder if a tag match is coming soon from that. You just know. Otis is going to cash in his Money in the Bank on that roast beef sandwich he's been looking at all week. Your main event is for the SmackDown Women's Championship as Bayley defends against Nikki Cross in a rematch from Extreme Rules. And they've been building this up last week. Nikki had to beat her best friend Alexa Bliss to get the spot, to get the shot here. And then you've got this rematch here. It's a hard-fought battle. Nikki fighting through the pain of the rib injury she sustained at the pay-per-view and everything. But in the end, Bayley wins clean as a whistle here as she drives Nikki's face into the mat. Good little program for Nikki here. It seems to be the end of this arc right now. I wonder where she'll go from here because at the end, she like shoves Alexa Bliss away, who's like trying to comfort her, and she shoves her, and she storms off and everything. Not a heel turn. I was kind of expecting Nikki to snap and just like hit the neck breaker on Alexa or something. We didn't get that though. So maybe it's just more self-doubt. Maybe it's more inner conflict from Nikki. Where that's going to go, I don't know, because like who's left to really challenge Bayley right now on SmackDown? Naomi, I would say, is the top pick at this point after her win against Lacey Evans, but like, duh? Like, who's it going to be after that, I wonder? Then after that happens, and once Nikki storms off, the lights cut out, the Fiend shows up in the ring with Alexa. And by the way, this has to be the first time that we have seen the Fiend like in person in the Performance Center in months. Like, God, I didn't even think we saw him in person in the build for Money in the Bank when it was Bray and Braun. I think it was like the build for the match with John Cena at WrestleMania. So that is amazing restraint to have waited since April to show the Fiend in kind of a live capacity in the Performance Center. That was like just impressive in and of itself. And then of course it's it plays into the feud with Strowman where he's attacking somebody that Braun cares about in Alexa Bliss. Puts the mandible claw on Alexa, by the way. I was almost buried the lead. He just sorry, I saw a funny chat that just totally threw me off. But puts the mandible claw on Alexa Bliss, and that's where the show ends. That was a dark end. That was like really kind of hit you out of nowhere. The main event itself was solid, but the scene at the end was something very different. And I think that it was a very big like kind of cliffhanger ending. I will say that Raw and SmackDown right now being run by the same guy, you kind of expect there to be a lot of like similarities, but I think you're still able to see like a very clear difference in how Raw and SmackDown are presented in a lot of ways. Like SmackDown, like I said, they're doing like the little short promos at the top of the show. They have these like cliffhanger endings and stuff. You don't really get those lately with Raw, I feel. I thought that was really cool to end the show that way. And I think it was, this was a really, really strong show. I'm going to pull up my grade here in just a moment. Before I do, though, I just want to plug one thing before I get to the grade. And that is a project that I've been working on, or I worked on for a long time with an artist in California named Jorge Uribe, also known as Captain Marvelous on Twitter. He reached out to me a while ago because he wanted to make like a kid's book about professional wrestling where we can kind of teach kids about the basics of wrestling, for like a second or third grade reading level, basically. And he approached me to write the material while he illustrated it. And so just this past week, I got a whole box of these bad boys in the mail from him. He printed them out and so mailed my share to me. It's told through the perspective of a fictional group of like animal wrestlers. I'm losing the thing. It's called Paw Pro Animal Wrestling, A Guide to Pro Wrestling, written by Brian Zane, illustrated and co-written by Jorge Uribe. And it's a full color pages here. It's got some great glossy print. We're talking about different kind of match types, different stipulations, like the rules and regulations of basic rules. Like there's the count out, there's the rope break, and it's all these really vivid, really well done like illustrations about like the wrestling. And it's just I love looking at this thing. I would say I tried to frame the writing for this to like second or third grade reading level. And so right now I got a whole bunch of these. I'd like to say they're on sale now, but I'm trying to figure out still how to what to sell these with. I want to be able to make these available for people who want them, and so I'm still trying to figure out what I want to kind of to roll in with this, like some stickers or other kind of goodies. But yes, these are on their way. I know that Jorge is currently selling them right now. I will try and retweet his advertisements on Twitter later tonight so you can see what he's selling it with. He's got his own kind of merch he's trying to sell alongside it. I'm going to have my own stuff. So, I hope I will let you guys know in the weeks to come how I'm going to be selling these things. So if you guys are interested, just to kind of whet your appetite, it's Pro Animal Wrestling, Guide to Pro Wrestling. And it just kind of tells you the basics about how to learn about pro wrestling, how to get somebody, one of the younglings, into that and kind of like tell them, explain how it works out. And so it'd be kind of cool, you know, like for parents to read with their kids, I think. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, that little plug, I'm now going to give you my grade for SmackDown. God, the mouse is so inaccurate. I'm going to give this a B+. This is, I think, one of the stronger episodes of SmackDown all year. Definitely all for a Performance Center era. I would say it's one of the strongest ones. I liked most of the matches we had there. The only one that really didn't do anything for me, besides like the Gulak Corbin thing, was you know, Naomi and Lacey Evans. I'm kind of over Lacey Evans, but I thought it was cool. They gave Metalik the opportunity. Kind of a weird thing to put in the opening match, but I guess I can see why they did that though. The good showing by Big E, great work by Sonya Deville. The beatdown with Mandy. The main event, like I said, it was good, but I think it was topped by the Fiend showing up. That was some great stuff. And so, yeah, I think that was the only thing I had a problem with this week was Chad Gable joining the Corbin Club. I'm so sick of seeing people join him, and it's just people are saying, did the stream die? I don't think it did. I don't believe it did. I'm seeing lots of strong signal here. No dropped frames, or there are dropped frames. But only 57 of them, and I think after 20 minutes, that's a pretty good average. So let me know what you guys thought. I thought this was a really good episode of SmackDown this week, and I have very few complaints about it. So let me know what your thoughts are, and as we go, we're going to transition from talking about the show to answering any super chats that may have come down the pike as I was talking. You weren't talking, I was talking. The only super chat I see here is from Trakes with 4 X's. $5 super chat. 3 ain't enough. You need 5. Well, I might not need 5, but Big E needs 5. I don't know if we are going to... I don't know. I feel it'd be kind of a regression to bring back the 5 count. Like, it's also so obscure. I mean, it's so obscure you could justify bringing it back because it would be fresh because we haven't really seen it since, you know, NXT days. But yeah. Let's not bring that back. I think wrestling is fine when it just keeps moving forward. If no one else has got any other kind of super chats or any big burning questions, I might just wrap this up because that's all I had to say about SmackDown. It was a pretty solid show. I was very pleased. I was kind of like, you know, I feel like it's a Friday night and I kind of like got to go into it kind of like, like I don't really want to be doing this because, you know, it's like I like my Friday nights. And so, yeah. I came into it not with like low expectations. I go into everything with kind of like a blank slate where I think, so I'm, you know, more easily impressed, I guess. But I thought that, yeah, good stuff. Some people are asking, do you think a bunch of people will object? Like, will Karen start complaining that a man in a mask assaulted a woman in a wrestling ring? I don't know. Hang on. But I think... I thought about that too when I saw that when Bray put the claw on her and everything. And like, it was, you know, pretty hard to watch if you're, you know, it's like, it's pretty graphic. This spooky guy, like, and all the sounds they added and everything. I think it might make a little controversy, like a little bit. I think there's more important shit in life right now than people complaining about what they see in wrestling. Although I would argue... I almost get the feeling they want to have that kind of attention because they're like, look, people are looking at us and they notice us. Notice us, senpai. Notice us, senpal. So yeah, I mean, it might cause a stink, and I'm sure there's gonna be people who kind of like talk about it and go, oh, boo that. I know. I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna be an issue. It's not gonna last long if that's the case. And I'm sure that was, yeah, I'm sure that was something they deliberated, and I wouldn't be surprised to clear it with the network first. Yeah, I think it's like, we see, you know, it's not great, but we see man-on-woman violence in, like, Marvel superhero movies, and we see it in, like, you know, other movies where the woman is the, you know, the badass, and you'll see intergender fights. It's just a thing that they do. So I would kind of use that as, like, not justification, but as a precedent to be like, you know, we've seen that sort of thing, you know. So it's like, is it the worst thing you could ever see? Probably not. Oh, hang on, I'm missing a super chat here. Let me scroll back up. Oh, come on, you. Parker Soul saying $5 super chat. Why Alexa Bliss? Why Alexa Bliss? Why? Well, I think it's because it's the Braun Strowman tie-in because she is like a friend of Braun Strowman's, and they're, you know, he said, "I will hurt the ones you love, and no one is safe." And so, yeah, that makes total sense. I don't have a problem with the Fiend attacking Alexa Bliss. Although I think it would have been more dramatic if, like, literally as soon as he gets the hand in there, they cut to black. Like, leave it a bit more open-ended. And that way you don't have as many, I think that way you would minimize or mitigate the potential for people to be offended. I think the fact that they stayed on the shot, although it is powerful, I think you could also leave it a lot more of a cliffhanger and with a lot more tension. If you went, bam, cut to black. I think that would have been a much stronger visual. But I mean, either or, I think it worked fine, in my opinion. The Willmeister drops a $5 super chat. I'm mixed on Sonya. On one hand, I liked it, but on the other hand, why is the lesbian always the crazy one? Didn't they already do this with Mickey and Victoria? Yes, like I mentioned. It's like, yeah. It is kind of a trope that, like, it's always like, it's the character with the lesbian tendencies. I almost wanted to go into like a random JRism. The lesbianic tendencies of Sonya Deville. And so we get that. We've seen that trope happen. Like I said, we saw it with Mickie James, saw it with Victoria. I think enough time has passed that we can kind of like let that happen again. But yeah, it is a tired trope. You'd like to see someone where it's like, maybe you kind of flip that on its ear. We see, then if you did this, though, I think it would cause a lot more controversy, because if you were to have the inverse of that, where it's like, say you've got this, let's say hypothetically, it's Mandy and Sonya, and like, Sonya's being like more upfront. She's like, I really like you, Mandy, I want to start a relationship. And Mandy's like, no, we're cool, but like, please no. But then like, Sonya keeps like, finding ways to kind of like keep dropping hints, or she's still kind of like lovesick to the point where Mandy's like, look, I'm just like, snaps and beats her up, which would look horrible, because then you're gay bashing. Like, that's a double-sided coin. You either have gay person is crazy or gay bashing by having the gay person be the baby face and getting beat up like that because of like a scored relationship or something. It's a rough it's a very big tightrope to tread, and like, it's why they don't do it that often, because it is very difficult. So that's kind of my take on it. I think, yeah, we've seen the lesbian thing or the scorned lover, and even it's still like not directly implied. It's not explicitly scorned lover. It's like, it's former best friend. So I think that it's I get what you're saying. I think it's been overdone, but like, it's been so long, I'm willing to let that slide and let that go. Chris Laffey wants to know if I'll do any PWG or Ring of Honor pay-per-views for classic reviews. I've had reviews for ROH shows, and not so many for PWG, I don't think. But right now, I don't want to review ROH shows because there's a bit of a conflict of interest, because I'm currently working for Ring of Honor. So I don't really know if I feel comfortable doing that, if it's okay, if it's kosher. I don't want to come off as like a big shill. Like, I make content for ROH all the time. I'm like on their week by weeks. I'm doing their top fives because they deal in increments of 5 in Ring of Honor, and I deal with 8s. It's just different philosophies. So I'd like to do them, but I just kind of want to make sure I feel comfortable doing it, and I don't want it to come off as like ROH propaganda, for example. King Noob, $10 super chat. Any chance we get a Smoky Mountain Wrestling review? Also, if you could design a wrestler by taking parts of others, what would your dream wrestler look like? To answer your second question, I would take everything about Brock Lesnar from his first run, like 02, 03, but give him like John Cena's personality. And then I think you would have had this completely unstoppable force. I truly believe that. As far as Smoky Mountain, maybe, yeah. Like, I'd have to, I have to figure out a way to kind of like, promotion graveyards. It's easier to do the promotions that don't last very long. Like, do a few shows, because then you have less to really talk about. But Smoky Mountain lasted for a long time. Same reason XPW feels such a gargantuan task for me, because XPW lasted a pretty long time and left a lasting impact. So it's like, Smoky Mountain's definitely it's not off the table. I will, we will see. We'll see what happens, as best I can say it. Mr. Caravaggio asks, speaking of ROH, when did I record the top 5 big men thing? Last week. I think I recorded it last week and sent it to them, and yeah, it came out today. Or no, not today, Monday. Yeah, and then the next top 5 I'm doing will be a top 5 best Death Before Dishonor matches in history. I had to do a bit of research for that one because I haven't seen too many of those. But I outsourced that to like my social media followers and asked, hey, what matches would you recommend? And so they gave me a lot of great recommendations. And so I picked up my fave 5, dog, shucky ducky quack quack. And yeah, that'll come out, I believe, not next week, but the week after, week by week. So check that out. And also, as long as I'm plugging ROH stuff, I know that September 25th, there's going to be a Best of Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view happening. So it's going to be a best of show, and it's going to feature a lot of the biggest matches, some of which are on my top 5. So you'll get to see that in all its glory. ROH also is going to be resuming TV tapings in August. I don't know all the details of that. I will not be at those tapings, but but best of luck to everyone who will be there. And so if you're jonesing for ROH, for fresh ROH content besides week by week, don't worry, because the TV product will be back. Did PCO retire? No, he's not retired. He's still kicking, and he wants that championship back, man. Could the Fiend bring us Kana? Why? I would love to see someone try and weave that story together. Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna end it there, folks. But it's been fun. Thank you so much for listening to me. What happened to Matt Taven? No, Matt Taven's not released. He's still recovering from an injury. To answer your question, Mister. No, he's still there, and he's a part of the crew. He's not left anywhere. So. Yeah, but now you know my thoughts on SmackDown. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts as well, and for your super chats. And if you were here for the live stream earlier today, thank you for that, and thanks for bearing with me and my technological errors. Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a pretty fun day, and hope you enjoy Slammed. Next week, the classic review is going to be SummerSlam 98. It's going to be a whole month of SummerSlam-themed content. We're going to do 2 SummerSlam-related countdowns, and we're going to do up to 3 classic SummerSlam reviews. So be on the lookout for that. Didn't get a notification. Well, shit. You should do the bell. I won't sing the Billy and Chuck theme song tonight. My singing voice ain't cut out for it tonight. But, one of these days I want to get like a Twitch karaoke thing started and just like go nuts. Just belt. I just want to embrace the inner karaoke god that's been, bubbling inside me for months at this point, because we ain't getting karaoke back as we know it for a long time. But you know what? We can all be karaoke stars in our hearts. And again, thank you so much for watching, folks. It's been a lot of fun. Tomorrow is when I plan to put out the live stream from Feel the Bang earlier today and put that out for public consumption. And this will come out if you missed the SmackDown review. I will put it out later tonight. But until then, folks, it's been grand. I'm Brian Zane. I'll see you next time, and have a great weekend.